Welcome to Love and Trauma, the real deal. I'm Danielle Sebastian, best-selling author, coach, and yes, I've been through the marriage trenches myself. This show is all about how to actually deal with trauma in relationships and make it work without losing your mind. If you're ready for honest talk, no fluff, and tools that cut through the noise, tune in, because let's face it, love can be a bit of a mess, but it's a mess worth figuring out. This is Love and Trauma, the real deal.
You can't fix what you don't understand. And if you've been feeling distant in your marriage, like no matter what you do, you just can't seem to get close again, I want you to know this. Disconnection isn't the real problem, it's a symptom. And the real cause is dysregulation. And I know that word sounds clinical, but here's what it really means. When your nervous system doesn't feel safe, it's impossible to stay connected, even with the person that you love the most. And if you're the partner of someone with a traumatic past, this hits even closer to home because their nervous system may have learned a long time ago that closeness equals danger. So when things start to feel intimate or emotional, they might pull away, shut down, or even explode. But hear me out. It's not because they don't love you, but because their body is trying to keep them safe. I used to think our marriage problems were about communication. I thought if I could just say the right thing or stay calm long enough, things would finally get better. But what I didn't realize was that both of our nervous systems were in survival mode. And survival mode doesn't do connection, it does protection. So maybe for you, it looks like walking on eggshells or arguments that come out of nowhere or the cold silence that lasts for hours, even days. That's what dysregulation looks like in real life. It's your body or your partner's body trying to protect you from a perceived threat, even when the threat is just a hard conversation or a tone of voice. In today's episode, I'm doing something completely different. You're not getting a guest today. You're going to get me. And I am going to break down how dysregulation secretly drives disconnection, how to spot the patterns that keep you stuck, and how to take back your calm, even if your partner doesn't change a thing. Because the truth is this: you can't control their nervous system, but you can absolutely regulate yours. And when you do, everything starts to shift. Okay, so let's talk about what dysregulation actually is and how it might be showing up in your relationship right now. Okay, so before we dive into the kind of sciencey, not that sciencey, but a little bit more sciencey part of the nervous system, I want to tell you a story because it's going to make everything I'm about to explain really stick. After college, I was a total career woman, just starting out as a pharmacist. And for some reason, I decided I needed a new challenge. So I took up running. And honestly, this is one of the best decisions I ever made. I met an incredible community of women, including my two best friends, Bree and Jenny. We had this gorgeous park in the middle of our city. It's called Greeno Park, and it has a paved path around it. But off that path are all these dirt trails that lead down to a little creek, over little bridges, and it's really kind of a magical place to run. So one spring morning, the three of us were out there early. And most of you know I live in Montana, so that's a little important part of this story. But my friend Bree was leading us, and Jenny and I were chatting behind her, and she decided to take one of those dirt trail offshoots. So we're running along talking when suddenly Bree stops dead in her tracks. Jenny and we bump right into her, and she turns around, eyes wide, whisper yelling, "It's a bear." Now, you need to know a little bit about my friends. So Bree is the environmentalist. She worked at the Humane Society at the time. She loves the animals. She's been camping a million times. Now, Jenny, she loves the outdoors, but doesn't really like to touch the outdoors. And you won't catch her camping anywhere without running water. And me, I'm like somewhere in between. But here's what happened in that split second. Bree turned around, got big, arms out, and went full straight into fight mode. Now, Jenny, she didn't even hesitate. She turned around, and the last thing you could see was the bottom of her hokas as she was running off the trail. And me, I froze. I just stood there, clutching Bree's arm. Just classic freeze response. Now, thankfully, that bear just wandered right past us across the trail and into someone's yard and just started chewing an apple or something that it found in a tree. But here's why I tell you that story. Our three reactions, the fight, flight, and freeze, are the same survival responses your nervous system uses when it thinks you're in danger. Now, just imagine this. What if I hadn't just seen one bear? What if I was a kid and I was running into bears all the time? And some of those bears got aggressive and some hurt me. I'd start to see bears everywhere. And I'd ask people, "Did you see the bear?" And they'd say, "No." But then I'd run into one anyway. I'd stop trusting people. I'd start believing danger was around every corner because for me, it was. And that's what happens to kids who grow up in chaos, neglect, or abuse. Their nervous system learns the world isn't safe. And that wiring just doesn't disappear when they grow up. So fast forward to adulthood, that hyper alert brain, that bear detector is still scanning for danger. Only now the bears look very different. Like you innocently asking your husband, "Hey, can you do the dishes tonight?" What you meant was a normal everyday request. But what their trauma brain hears is, "You're failing, you're not enough, you're doing it wrong." And then you see it, the fight, like snapping back or getting defensive, the flight, walking away or shutting the door, the freeze, total silence. And when that happens, your nervous system jumps in too. You feel hurt, you feel unseen and rejected, and you start to wonder, what did I do wrong? And guess what? Now your alarm is blaring. Two people both reacting to bears that aren't even there. And that's dysregulation. It's not a character flaw. It's a nervous system doing its best to survive. And when I finally understood this, it changed everything because I stopped trying to fix my husband's reactions and started focusing on what I could control, my own regulation. And that's why in my wife care framework, the very first step is comprehend. Because when you can understand what's really happening under the surface, you stop blaming, you stop taking it personally, and you start seeing your relationship for what it truly is. Two nervous systems trying to find safety. So the next time conflict flares up or silence settles in, I want you to remember, it's not that your relationship is broken. It's that your bodies are protecting you in the only way they know how. Now that you understand how this wiring gets created, let's talk about what it means for conflict and connection and why it can feel flat out impossible when trauma is part of the picture. So now that you understand how trauma wiring forms and how everyone's nervous system can start seeing bears everywhere, let's talk about what this actually means for your relationship. Because here's the hard truth. Connection in trauma-impacted relationships feels impossible, but not because you're broken, because your nervous systems are working against each other. When someone grows up in chaotic chaos, neglect, abuse, unpredictable parents, constant tension, their nervous system doesn't just have the occasional bear moment, it lives there. That hyper alert state becomes normal. And over time, that constant stress can develop into something called complex PTSD or CPTSD. And this isn't about one traumatic event, it's about years of that smoke alarm blaring so often that the system forgets how to turn it off. So when that person grows up, and tries to have a normal adult relationship, even the tiniest thing can trip the alarm. And this is what it kind of looks like. You say, I need some space right now. They hear, you don't love me anymore. You ask, are those the fries you like? I'm just trying to be thoughtful. And they feel, wow, I can't even get fries right. I'm failing again. Yes, that fries story. This one actually happened to me. I thought I was being kind and he felt criticized. Instant defensiveness. That conversation went sideways before we even knew what happened. And it's not just the misunderstanding, right? It's what happens after. That's when the survival responses take over. The fight, anger, blame, or raised voices. The freeze, the cold wall of silence. The flight, avoidance, leaving the room, diving into work or chores. And here's the kicker. When their trauma response shows up, it almost always triggers yours. You feel rejected. You feel dismissed. You start thinking, why am I the only one trying? And without realizing it, your own nervous system flips its switch too. And now you're both in protection mode. Your bodies are screaming, danger, even when you're just trying to talk about dinner. And that's the dysregulation loop. Each nervous system is trying to protect itself, but in doing so, it's making the other feel unsafe. So, no wonder communication tools don't seem to work. The I statements, the calm tones, the active listening, all of that stuff is built for regulated nervous systems. But in trauma impacted relationships, conflict doesn't start from calm, it starts from alarm. And when the alarms are going off, you can't logic your way back to love because the body doesn't feel safe enough to even hear the words. So when you find yourself thinking, why does he react like that to something so small? This is why. His body is seeing bears everywhere, and yours is too now, just different ones. And it's not that you don't love each other. It's not that you're not trying hard enough. It's that your nervous systems are trying to survive and not connect. But here's the hopeful part. Once you understand what's happening, you can start changing how you respond. Because while you can't control their dysregulation, you can own your regulation. And when one person in the relationship stays grounded, it starts to calm the whole system. And that's what we're going to talk about next. All right, because this is where things get really tricky. Your nervous systems don't just react, they react to each other. So when it's healthy, this is called co-regulation. But when it's not, it becomes co-dysregulation. And here's what that means. When one of you is calm, grounded, and steady, the other person can often feel that calm and start to settle too. And that's co-regulation. Because when one of you gets triggered, it's like lighting a match near dry grass. Their alarm sets your alarm off. And now you're both blaring. And if you are in this type of relationship, I know you know what I mean. Your partner gets angry, raises his voice, your nervous system feels threatened, you go into retreat, or maybe you snap back, and that reaction triggers his system even more. Now he's louder, you're more defensive, and round it goes. Or maybe it looks like this. Your partner shuts down, won't talk, won't engage. Your nervous system panics. Are they leaving me? Do they even care? So you start pushing harder for a response. And the harder you push, the more they shut down. That's the feedback loop. And the longer that loop spins, the faster conflict escalates until you're not even arguing about the original issue anymore. You're just reacting to each other's reactions. This is why so much traditional communication advice falls flat in trauma impacted relationships. You've probably heard just stay calm, use I statements, don't raise your voice. All great advice if both people are already calm. But when the nervous systems are already in survival mode, logic doesn't land. I statements don't land. Even your calm tone might feel like pressure to them. and their silence might feel like rejection to you. And here's the heartbreaking truth. Neither of you wants this cycle. You're both doing your best to protect yourselves, but those protection patterns are actually what keep you disconnected. And until you can see it for what it is, two nervous systems triggering each other over and over again, you can't break it. But here's the good news. This can change. And it starts with learning tools that actually calm the alarms instead of throwing more words at them. All right. In this next part, I'm going to walk you through the dysregulation that might be driving the distance in your marriage. Okay. So here's the big question. And if you've been listening so far, you probably know the answer. But is dysregulation driving the distance in your marriage? Because when you're living with constant disconnection, the distance, the silence, the walking on eggshells, it's almost never about lack of love. It's about the nervous system. What I've seen again and again, and in my own marriage and with the wives I coach, is that dysregulation tends to show up in 4 main trauma-informed patterns. So as I walk through these, I want you to notice which one feels most familiar to you or to your partner. And there is no judgment here, just awareness. Pattern number 1, shutdown. Withdraw, quiet, emotional distance. It's the long pauses, the blank stare, the I don't know, or no response at all. Not because he doesn't care, but because his nervous system went into freeze and safety means disappearing. But for you, it feels like rejection, like you don't matter. But remember, this is protection, not punishment. One of my clients, Deb, used to see shutdown and think, he doesn't care. I'm alone in this. But once she started to pause, breathe, and not take it personally, she started saying things like, I see you pulling away. I don't need an answer now. I just want us to reconnect later. He came back calmer, and so did she. And their relationship softened in ways she never expected. All right. Pattern number 2, escalation, the fight response, anger, panic, defensiveness, sharp tone, quick reactions. It's not about the dishes or the fries. It's the nervous system saying, I feel unsafe and out of control. Randy, another client, used to get pulled into escalation. Now she calmly says, I hear you. I need a minute. Walks away, regulates, and returns. And what happened? Instead of a blow up, she created safety. Her husband started matching her calm because someone changed the pattern. Pattern number 3, avoidance. I'm too tired right now. We'll talk about it later. Except later never comes, does it? Avoidance looks like peacekeeping, but it actually slowly builds resentment and distance. One client recently shared, I kept waiting for the right time to talk until I realized my husband thought silence meant everything was fine. Once she learned my gentle follow-up script, she started saying things like, hey, I don't want to sweep this all away. Can we take 10 minutes tomorrow? And suddenly, conversations started happening, and safety opened the door to communication. Number 4, numbing, scrolling, zoning out, alcohol, staying busy, not feeling anything, so nothing can hurt. But when you numb pain, you numb joy too, love, connection, warmth. I had a wife tell me 4 years, I thought quiet meant peace, but it was just shutdown and numbing. Once she began small daily reconnection rituals like 2-minute check-ins at night, their warmth started to come back, and little moments rebuild safety. Now, most people may not be just one. They might have avoidance until cornered and then explode. You may freeze and then later shut down, and the patterns dance with each other. But when these patterns become the norm, connection starts to feel impossible. Not because you don't love each other, but because 2 nervous systems are protecting instead of connecting. And this is where ownership becomes powerful. You can't control his dysregulation, but you can recognize your own and choose a different pattern than the one you've always used. And the awareness is just the first step. Okay, so now that you can name the patterns, shutdown, escalation, avoidance, or numbing, let's talk about what to do with that awareness. Because understanding is powerful, but healing happens when you start doing something different. And that starts with regulation. Regulation is simply the ability to bring your nervous system back to calm, to safety, so you can respond instead of react. It's not about pretending that everything's fine. And it's all about learning to stay steady when things aren't. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick summary and also a tool at the end that will help you do this. So each dysregulation pattern needs its own kind of care. So I'm going to give you an example of what this can look like in real life. So the shutdown pattern, when your partner withdraws or goes quiet, your focus is gentle reentry, right? Ground yourself with a short reset, slow breath, feet on floor, body check. When things settle, try a low risk repair like, I felt lonely earlier. I don't need answers. I just need 5 minutes together. Create safety through small rituals. Even a 2-minute nightly check-in keeps connection alive. The second one is the escalation, when emotions escalate fast. Your focus needs to be pausing before reacting, both of you. So taking 3 slow breaths. Say something that signals safety. I feel triggered and want to talk when we're calmer. Can we pause? Then ground yourself. A short walk, deep breaths, or jot one sentence about how you felt. The avoidance pattern, when things keep getting minimized or delayed. Your focus is gentle accountability. I want you to use a 5-minute anchor to check in with your body and name 3 emotions out loud, and then make a small specific ask. I don't want to sweep this under the rug. Can we set aside 10 minutes tomorrow to talk? Keep it short and curious. It's not about solving at that moment. It's just about making that connection. And then the numbing. I see so many wives where everything just feels flat or distant, and they've just sort of given up. So your focus needs to be reawakening your senses, doing a quick sensory reset, like run cold waters on your hands. Notice what you can see, hear, and touch, and then re-invite connection. I miss feeling close. Want to join me for a 5-minute walk? Build warmth through daily micro moments. Share the one thing you appreciate about each other. Okay, every pattern has its own doorway back to safety. You don't need to fix the whole relationship at once. You just need to start where you have control. Your regulation, your presence, your next small step. We have covered a lot today. And if your heart feels a little heavy, or maybe even a little hopeful, that's okay. It means you're starting to see what's really going on underneath the surface. Disconnection isn't the problem, it's the signal. And dysregulation, that's the cause. But the good news is every pattern has a way back to safety. If your partner shuts down, meet it with calm, small moments of gentle connection. If things escalate, take breath pauses and come back when both alarms are quiet. If avoidance shows up, lead with curiosity and small scheduled check-ins. If numbing takes over, awaken the senses and reach for small shared experiences again. Every pattern has a slightly different approach, but they all begin with one thing: ownership. Owning your regulation, owning your energy, owning what's actually in your control. Because when one person starts to regulate, it creates safety for both. And safety is the foundation for connection. Okay, so I'm going to end with my 3 real deal takeaways that I want you to remember. Number 1, learn from the past with compassion. Start with curiosity and not blame. And remember that what looks like disconnection is often just protection. Number 2, you can't fix the trigger in the moment. So pause first. When emotions spike, your nervous system is in survival mode. That's not the time to problem solve, explain, or fix. In fact, you know it. Trying to do that can actually make things worse. Instead, press pause, step away, regulate. Give both of you space to come back when the alarm bells are off. You're not avoiding the issue. You're creating safety to actually deal with it. And number 3, I want you all to listen. Stack your healing. Small repeated acts of regulation add up, one calm moment of a time. I see so many wives who have success in one situation, but then they get scared again and they're afraid to do it again. Like it was just a one-time thing. I don't want you to do that. I want you to keep trying it because it will add up and start changing new patterns. Okay. And here is where I have something for you to help you through this. If you're ready to see what's really driving the distance in your marriage, I have a free disconnection diagnostic. It takes about 2 to 3 minutes, and you'll discover your top dysregulation pattern and get a personalized 3-step micro plan you can start tonight. Because the truth is, you can't control their nervous system, but you can absolutely regulate yours. And when you do, everything starts to shift. You can get this quiz at daniellesebastian.com. Right at the top, it says, take your disconnection diagnostic. It's actually in there twice. So you take the quiz and you'll get emailed a 3-step micro plan just for you. You don't have to keep walking on eggshells. You can rebuild safety, calm, and real connection, one regulated breath at a time. I'm Danielle Sebastian, and this is Love and Trauma, the Real Deal. If today's episode resonated with you, I want you to subscribe, share it with another wife who needs to hear this, and take your disconnection diagnostic right now, because disconnection is the symptom, dysregulation is the cause, and ownership. That's where healing begins. Thanks so much for joining.
All right, that's a wrap for today on Love and Trauma, the Real Deal. Big thanks to my guests for sharing their insights. Couldn't have done it without you. Now, for those of you looking to take this journey further, I've got something special. Head to my website to grab Real Tactics, Real Healing, a survivor's playbook for navigating a relationship with a trauma survivor. It's packed with everything you need to know, do, and say to navigate the emotional minefield, find your balance, and regain your self-worth and happiness.